This is how this woman accumulated 10 properties before the age of 32, including a mixture of residential and commercial. Listen in and we break down step by step on how she actually did it.
You actually need to do stuff. You need to get your pay slips together. You need to get your bank statements together. You need to figure out your strategy, your plan, like do the work, do the education, listen to podcasts.
You've also got the luxury of like, you can do nothing now and the next 20 years is going to be a very comfortable life for you, which is a very privileged thing. And like similar to me, like you've worked bloody hard for it. Like you've been doing it since you were 20 years old in property. So
a lot of the time we have clients doing their first commercial and it's just so exciting to hear. And I think because I've been a client before I worked, I think that's just invaluable to me because I'm like, I've been in your shoes. I know exactly what you're thinking. Be patient, like actually wait sometimes. And obviously with Palise, like if something comes that's good, jump on it. Don't be patient and think we're going to keep sending you lots, but they're good. But if you're doing it yourself, definitely be patient. Yep. And if you are with Palise, then I would say trust us, but sometimes it does take us a while to find you the right one because we're looking for quality stuff. We're not just giving you crap.
Welcome to the Commercial Property Investing Explained series. Today we've got a cool one. We've got another client investor success story. This 32-year-old female has 10 plus property portfolio with a mix of resi and commercial. Belinda, thanks for jumping on.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. So let's probably take a big step back. Maybe we'll talk about firstly how we came in touch, and then we'll kind of take another step back and start your portfolio beginning. So
yeah, sounds good.
You, funnily enough, are someone who I would say probably in Australia have listened to more property podcasts than anyone I've ever met. Like we talk about any competitor and you're like, on this episode 17, they said this, isn't it? Like you actually love property.
I do, and just love learning about it, the education side of things.
Whereas I'm the opposite. I've listened to so many podcasts now. I hate listening to podcasts, so I don't listen to any of them. I don't even listen to my own. All right, so you originally reached out because you were interested in commercial, and I think probably just following us online, I think.
Yeah. I had listened to a couple of your podcasts and I had chatted with my broker and we were sort of hitting the residential wall a little bit. So we decided to look into commercial, and you were one of the people I had been listening to for a while, and I actually had your book. So I gave you a call and we just sort of got chatting and hit it off.
Yeah, because that was just to potentially go commercial, but then obviously really liked you and you were liked all about, and then I even to the point I think almost offered you a job somewhat.
Yeah, you pretty much said if you ever want to change careers. I was teaching at the time. You were like, if you want to change career. I just hadn't met any. I mentioned female at the start because I want to talk about that as well. A female who was that interested in commercial. But funnily enough, the job that you actually took was, as everyone knows, we've got the Commercial Property Institute course, which is a free commercial course. You were the backbone in that. So you actually helped me structure all the modules, the content, the filming. So you actually put that together. So anyone who enjoys the course, you can thank Belinda for that. So you worked on all the background of that. And then obviously started buying commercial properties through Palise Property, which is where you're from. Then you joined the team in a formal sense of sourcing commercial deals. And then since then I've had a kid and now you work in the settlements team, which we'll get to that. But let's take a couple steps back. Yeah.
Let's start the property journey off from the beginning.
Start at the beginning. So I guess I would start with how property kind of became about in my family. It's definitely something that's passed down. So my pop had some investments and he sort of instilled those values of investing, I guess, and having an outside income. And a lot of those he actually purchased after he stopped working. And I was around. He's no longer with us, but that all sort of happened in the last, I would say 10, 15 years. So I was around and kind of understood what was happening. My mum and dad are the same. They have investment properties. And I was actually thinking before I came, what's the earliest memory I have of property in my family? And the one that I remember is we definitely are into just a bit of cosmetic reno. And I used to be the smallest, I guess because I was the youngest. And I remember I was about 9 and we were renovating a house that mum and dad owned. And it was my job to get into the linen cupboards, the pantry, and paint all the drawers and shelves in there. I guess because I was small and nimble, I could get
Belinda,
in.
we need your dainty hands and get in the cupboard.
That's exactly right.
Don't worry about the paint fumes. Just quick, paint the cornices.
Yeah, so learned a lot about painting from mum. That was her thing. Dad's a handyman, does lots of things like that. So between us all, we were kind of a pretty good little reno team. And my brother as well has learnt the sort of characteristics from the family. And yeah, so I guess it's kind of a family trait to invest in property.
Yeah, your whole family is into property. It's actually nuts. Like most people, it's like 1 or 2 people, but your family is property nuts.
Yes, yeah, we are. Yeah. Which is great because it means we can have honest, open conversations about it, chats around the dinner table. You know, that's often what we talk. We don't talk about politics. We talk about property. And so, yeah, I guess for me, it was the other big thing would be just where I started, which would my first property was 2012. So I would have been.
We were having a laugh off air that our journeys pretty much started the same time, got to the same quantity of properties, around 10 properties, changed to commercial at similar time. So
I've been listening to your podcast.
That's right. Yeah, of course. Episode 27. So residential first one?
Yeah. So I would say probably it was. I kind of, look, my memory is not the greatest. I will put that out there. But the first one was up in Townsville, and it was one of those my brother actually got one before me. So I think there was a little bit of.
This was before the Townsville wave started. What made you buy there? Was that just
this was 2012.
No one was talking Townsville back then. No one. It was all Logan, Hobart, Devonport, and Ipswich.
With your first one, you make mistakes, and probably my mistake was little to no education. Like back then I was not listening to podcasts, I was not reading, I was not doing the research.
They didn't have that many podcasts back then.
No, they didn't. It actually happened. My brother lived in Townsville. We went up to visit. I had actually spoken to a broker to make sure I could do some borrowing. So kind of had some rough figures. My pop was with us as well, and we sort of went looking and stumbled across a house and land package.
Cool.
And it was
sure that went well.
The hook was basically pay $1,000 today, you'll lock it in, and then you can get finance after. It seemed good, so we were like, sure, let's do it. And off we went. So I put the $1,000 down that weekend, flew back, got with the broker, did all our work. This was 2012. So I was about 20.
That's a very early start for someone. Yeah.
It was, And
but you've been around it your whole life, so.
So that was about $450 purchase price. At the time, I thought it was great. Lots of depreciation, brand new build. Renting for about $520 to start off with. So it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
Started off with an interest-only loan. So it was all positive cash flow at the beginning. Back then, I think interest rates were about 5%.
Was it near completion, or was it wait like 18 months?
No, I only had to wait probably 2-3 months.
Okay, so it was nearing completion.
And I guess one of the flags maybe should have been, so my finance was a little slow just because it was the first one, and I was a bit nervous. So I reached out to the builder saying like, I'm sorry, we're behind. We're not quite there. We're getting it. And he was like, oh, good. We've already started your house. And I was like, but I haven't paid you anything. Yeah. And I think that maybe should have flagged to me that like, this is their bread and butter. They're just building and flicking them off. Yep. But he sent me progress shots, and it was like all the frame was up. So I was all excited.
I think they know if you can't get finance,
there's someone else. Yeah. Exactly right. So that was the first one, which kind of kickstarted the journey after that. And it was a positive experience for the first one. Looking back now, it wouldn't definitely have been the choice I would do.
I imagine the disparity in prices wouldn't have been as great back then. Like you probably could have bought an existing one for $300. So you've paid.
I definitely paid over.
Yeah, but it's a 50% premium, but in reality of money, it's 150 grand. So in regards, it's not kind of a horrible experience. I think where people get stuck now is they go get a $1.2 million off the plan. Okay, 300, 400 grand disparity is a big difference.
Yeah. I was, to fill everyone in, to be able to purchase that. So I did come up with my own deposit. And it was something that, again, a family just instilling in me hard work. So I've always been a worker.
I'm well aware.
my first job was I used to ref touch footy. So I'd play a game on Wednesday afternoons and then I'd ref. It was $5 a game. I think I was about 10. Then I did netball umpiring, netball coaching. Then I started at a Chinese restaurant. Then I did
indoor soccer, reffing and coaching as well.
Yeah, lots of coaching. And then basically once I finished year 12 HSC, I got a job at like an RSL type thing. I was only 17 when I finished school. So, because I'm young.
Pre-made
I was a young baby, I guess, June. Yeah. So whilst everyone else was sort of going out partying, I finished year 12 in October, November, and was like, for the next 6-7 months, I can't do that. I'm like, well, what do I do? And I was like, I'll just knuckle down and work, go to uni. So I kind of fell into teaching. My auntie's a teacher. My pop was a teacher. I didn't, I guess, know what I wanted to do. So went into teaching. And so while I was teaching, I was doing that basically while I was studying for teaching, I was working at the RSL pretty much full time because uni was, 2-3 days a week. I was doing double shift Sundays, which is like time and a half, Saturday nights. Then I actually worked for a Lang & Simmons in Sydney doing leasing on the Saturday. So I'd go show open homes for people for leasing.
Did you enjoy that?
I did at the start because I was starting to get into property, and I'd obviously that was right around the time I bought the first one. Yeah. So it was something I was into and I didn't know any better. I just needed a start. And then, I helped them out in school holidays and things like that. So I was getting a bit more work there. Then I changed to a different real estate agency and again was helping them on Saturdays, still while working at the RSL club. Then I picked up some other random jobs. Like I worked for a Lego company that basically did like kids Lego parties. Yeah. I worked for a jumping castle company that went and did jumping castles, hired them. Honestly, so many different little jobs.
Like when you're like 24 years old, your resume, here's my 14 references.
And I used to do my tax and stuff. And with my tax accountant, I'd be like, here's my 4 or 5 jobs for the year. And he was always like, what? But I guess because of all that, and I was able to save a lot. I was very privileged in the fact that mum and dad let me stay with them. Yeah. So I didn't have to move out early and have that rent. So I did save a lot by having a lot cheaper rent with mum and dad. So that I definitely owe them a lot for that.
Still a very young age to get into property.
It was, but that definitely helps. And so I guess doing a lot of different jobs. Then when I finished uni, went full time into teaching, but still kept my real estate on the Saturday. And then I actually picked up a different, of course, waitressing at another restaurant that was only open Friday, Saturday, Sunday nights. So I did night. So I'd basically go from teaching all week, then that night to go and work, and then I'd do real estate the next morning. I mean, I definitely still went out with friends and stuff.
It's funny because like I did the same thing. I worked at Coles on the weekends and the morning shift. But every successful young investor I know did the graft at the start. And it's when people say, oh, you got a passive income, it's easy. I'm like, didn't feel passive. It's been like 12 years of killing myself.
I look back now and I'm like, gosh, I have one night out and it takes me like 2 days to recover. I'm like, I don't know how I did it back then. All this just spending all day working, then go to another job and then go out after that.
I think
and do it all
the benefit
again.
Is you're young and fresh and you can do that. And that's when you've got
you're
the
hungry
energy.
Back then.
And you don't get tired. I used to go like on a whole night out and play soccer the next day on zero sleep. Like now if I don't get 7 hours, I can't do anything.
I feel like you hit 30, it's all.
So when you got the Townsville one, I'm imagining that didn't like grow instantly in the first year or two. So you probably have the same journey where it's been
it actually went up a little bit in the first year. So I might have gotten in right at, there was a little bit of a bit that went up because that's actually what catapulted me into the second. Oh, is it? Okay. So I did do a healthy deposit. So I actually did a 20% deposit. Yep. And then with the second one, so I actually changed brokers for the second one. My first broker, I kind of went back and they weren't, I guess, creative enough. Didn't think I had. They were kind of like, oh, you know what, you've got one. Let's just let it go for a bit. Yeah. And I was like, no. So changed broker, which was great. Yeah. And
was that from like a reference or something like that, or you just research or podcast?
Yeah. Just a bit of online research. Okay. And I think back then it was more important to be someone that you could go see. I think Zoom and Skype and stuff wasn't as big back then.
Was it even around back then? I'm trying to remember. Yeah, it would have just come in.
So it was someone in Sydney that I could go and see them in person and explain. So for the second property, we actually managed to pull out some equity from Townsville to get the deposit for the second one. And for the second one, I did a little bit more research, which was great. And I decided I wanted to go into Newcastle. And I stumbled across, so I went up with my mum and my pop came as well. And we went looking at a couple of places. Came across a 3-bed house there that had, it actually had 3 different tenant, like students in it. Okay, yeah. Because the uni was around the corner. So we bought that for $455 and the rent was about $590 at the time, which the yield seemed really good.
Interest rates were pretty low back then as well.
So I think it was probably about 4%. They were starting to come down. Yeah. And so I was like, this is great. Like did all the numbers. Yeah, this is great. Again, looking back, like student can work, but I probably didn't have enough bedrooms. It was only 3-bed, but when you're doing student, you're paying their bills. So I was paying electricity, I was paying water, I was paying internet. So that all added up and those were things that weren't in my original sums. So when I sort of sat down and then had, a year or two with these students, I was like, the cash flow is not quite doing what I thought it would be doing.
I see people get sucked in the same thing for boarding houses where they're like, look how great it is. It's a 7% yield. Yeah, the property manager takes 20%. Then you're paying the bills and all the maintenance, and that. It's never a 7% gross. No. It's probably a 1.52% net.
Yes, when you actually add it all. Yeah. So still a really good property. I've actually converted that now to just a standard property. It's just got a general tenant in it, and that's had some really good growth over the last 10 years. So that was 2014. So it was about a year and a half from the first
I was actually looking in Maitland in that same period, and I was going to auctions there because you could actually buy a house, like a very rundown house for like $200,000, and I was like, this is brilliant because I had a small budget. Yeah. So I was looking in the same area back then as well.
And it was that was a good one. I still got that one. And it's doing well. Rents have gone up quite a lot.
One of the points you just touched on about changing broker, and we were actually talking off air literally prior to coming on this, and we crush commercial deals based on the broker, not because of us. Like if you don't have a good like investment savvy broker, especially commercial, they actually lose the deal because they can't get finance and they don't know how to talk to other lenders. So it's probably like what I'd say 1 in 3 of the deals we crush is actually out of our control. It's the broker's fault. And then they come back, they talk to our broker, and then we get the next deal done. So it is a really important thing to make sure you have the right broker.
Yeah. It is. And I do change brokers again in my journey.
Which is fine. And then you've also shifted to commercial, so I have a chat there. So, okay. So did that one go have a little bit of growth as well at the time?
It did, and it's done well since. I've kind of left that one alone for the moment. Just after a couple of years, got the students out and have just had it tenanted, normal people. Normal, I guess, family. And it's been going well.
Okay, so there's two down. Another 8 to go. There was actually an 11th one because you sold one, but we'll get to that.
Yeah. So I guess next one was basically the strategy for me was I'm like, okay, I need some more cash flow because I kind of looked at the student one and was like, that's what I thought was going to have a lot of cash flow, but there's quite a few bills.
Back then, was there a strategy or was it just accumulation? Like for me anyway, at the start, I knew I wanted a passive income, but the aim was quantities. It was like, I just want to get 5 properties and it didn't matter. And I was buying positive cash flow. But back then, did you have an idea because your family was involved? Were you like, I want a passive income, I want a portfolio size, or was it just let's accumulate? I'm young, fresh.
Look, it definitely wasn't passive income back then. Yeah. To me, it would have been, quantity of properties for sure. I did have a little bit of a strategy in terms of cash flow versus growth properties. Yep. So I was kind of trying to go one then the other. So it would have been Townsville for me was supposed to be like the growth, or really it was kind of just I threw something at the dartboard and that's what came out.
Everyone does that for their first investment.
Yeah.
Everyone.
And then the next one was, I guess, cash flow. Like I was wanting a cash cow. Yep. It didn't quite work out that way. So then I was like, okay, well now I need a cash cow. Yep. So I went and looked into duplexes was the next one. So I picked up a duplex in Armidale, regional Armidale. So I actually have my aunties live in Armidale.
So you sort of knew the area.
Sort of knew the area, knew some good pockets.
Yep. Had a reference point to ask them.
Yeah. Okay. And went and visited this place with my dad, and we were like,
Sorry, how were you doing your research back then? Was it sort of like me, just like a bit of word of mouth, a few property reports and stuff like that? Because now it's completely different. Everything's available online.
No, a bit of like chatting to the agent, looking on Google, trying to basically walk the street, check out other listings around. So it was definitely not as extensive as it is now, but I was definitely looking at as much data as I could back then.
At the time, I was just copying the buyer's agents. So all the previous old school buyer's agents, like the Nathan Birches, Zachy Amir's, Right Property Group, all those old school buyer's agents, I was just following what they were buying and like, cool, let's have a look at that area now.
Look, I definitely also listened to things and I'd hear like, oh, is that a hot spot? I looked there. Yeah. So you do get influenced in that way. So we found this, it was 2-bed. So 4-bed, 2-bath split into 2 duplexes. So 2-bed, 1-bath duplexes. And we went and visited, and then the agent told me, there's basically another offer. So it was 310.
Jeez, that's cheap.
And 310 renting for 440. So 220 each side. And the selling agent told me there was someone else, and he was basically like, whoever gets their stuff quicker gets it. And I was like, well, you know what? I can move pretty fast. But
I've got 7 jobs. I can do this.
But I said, I'll throw it an extra 1,000 just to show that I'm wanting this. So I ended up going with 311, and basically I remember sitting at the McDonald's using the free Wi-Fi, sending all the things to my broker, being like, we need to get this done. Which we did, which was great. And that's been a good little property.
Another little hot tip, which I forgot about this. I used to do the same thing. I used to not do 1,000. I used to do like 2,500. Yeah. So anytime I had a round number, if I knew like I bought a little townhouse in Foster for 112,500.
Yep.
And the reason I did that was because I knew everyone else would be offering 110,000.
Yep.
And if they're presenting offers, which one do you look at straight away? So for $2,500, mine's on the top. So as long as my other criteria is the same, they're going to accept my offer. So you've done the same thing with $1,000.
I still kind of do that a little bit, just depending on the property. Yeah. But and even some of the Palise clients used to do that. You know, just sometimes the odd numbers make it stand out a bit more, and
especially if it's a little bit higher as well.
Definitely.
Okay.
So picked up the duplex, and that actually gave me some good positive cash flow, and rates kept coming down, as we know. So that was a great little investment. Still have it. It's gone up quite a bit. It's now renting for $660. So it's off a 311 purchase price.
Which is, when you think about it, ridiculous. Like, what are we, 10 years ago?
Yeah.
And like, imagine in 20 years' time, property paid off very easily with the cash flow, and say rent's double, you've got a 50 grand income from one property.
Yeah.
So, that's really cool. Okay, so number 3.
Yes, that was 3. And then I started to get a little stuck, and it was
from servicing or
servicing
deposit?
A little,
Yep, okay.
Deposit wise as well a little.
Do you find, I remember back then, normally like the deposit wasn't a huge issue because you could still get 90% loans, 100% loans. So you just needed the servicing to kind of get it done. Yeah.
And
but because interest rates were lower, then people had good servicing as well. So it was like a bit of an easier game back then.
And that's sometimes why I ended up picking up another job or something, because I'd chat to the broker, and back then, you know, that broker was actually quite good in terms of he was looking a property or 2 in front, to be able to be like, look, this is what you need to be at to get this. And I'd be like, okay, great. I'll go pick up some more shifts at, you know, the restaurant. And
was he known as like a property broker at the time, or is it just, you just kind of struck gold a little bit from a bit of research?
I just struck gold a little bit. Yeah. He wasn't anyone, I guess, that I just stumbled across him in Sydney, and kind of had that. But we parted ways after that one because we worked out that I needed to move into using trusts to start that. So I didn't fully tap out, but at least I can move then into trusts and then keep going.
Is that when you discovered trusts, or you sort of knew about them beforehand?
I sort of knew but didn't know enough.
Yep.
And then I did go to a couple of like information sessions in person where they do, you know, some of those property spookers like
I've been to all of them as well.
Dimphner and stuff. I went to a couple of hers, and they always talk about things, take lots of notes and go home and research.
Sign up to our services here.
Didn't sign up. I was like, I can do this myself. So then got a new broker, which was a referral because from my current broker, basically to be like, I need someone who's confident in trusts and can set them up and understand what I'm doing.
Did you have a good accountant back then, or just a normal stock standard?
Just a normal stock standard. So I've changed them as well. But back then,
you only know what you know.
Exactly. And then the next ones, that would be 2016.
Quite a few properties.
So it's nearly one a year basically from the first four.
Bit of a side topic, because I kind of alluded to it before. Like, we've spoken about this so many times off air about females in real estate, and one of the cool things, Palise Properties, we've got a 50% female one, and you rarely meet females, even more so your age you would have been back then, with 3-4 properties. Like, what are you, 23, 24, and you got 4 properties? Did you feel a bit, how do I say this in a nice way? Did you feel a bit weird, or could you not really, like, with your friends and stuff, were they kind of like just weird? Because you had your family support, I suppose, but like I imagine like going to the pub and chatting with your friends, like your life was property investing. Guys, it's a bit easy because there's 1,000 other slimy guys that want to get properties. Like, everyone wants to get rich quick, but you're a bit of a rarer one. Yeah,
and I would say it would be something I wouldn't really chat that much to my friends. Probably one of my best friends, she knew, and
it would have kind of went over their head a little bit, because unless you're in it, you don't know. Like,
so I used to pretty much, it would be chat a lot with my brother, because he was in front of me. He's 2-3 years older than me, and he'd get one, then I'd be like, well, I need to get one, and then he'd get one, and then I'd get one. So and then obviously I was working at the real estate doing leasing and things, so there was a couple of people there to chat about, but there wasn't that many, and most of the podcasts and things I listened to, books I read, they were all from males.
Yeah. We're going to do another episode about this, actually, like about like females in real estate.
Yeah.
Is there a reason, do you think, why? Is it just exposure? Is it personality traits? Or is it like, I'm not sure why there's not more females that are really into property.
I would say it's a combination of probably risk is a big one. Like, I think women in general are a bit more calculated.
Yeah.
I like to think we sort of think things through a bit more.
Is it like a nesting protective thing of the family almost? So like, this sounds bad, but when I'm doing a sales call and again, this is generic. I know there's exceptions, like you've met my partner, Lisa.
Yeah.
She does not fit the category. She is alpha female, like wants to be corporate, climb the ladder. You're similar. Typically when I'm doing a sales call and there's like the female and the male is all about taking on the risk and hitting a big goal. The female is let's make sure we don't have our house of cards fall down. And that's kind of how I approach the sales call, being like, these are the risk mitigation techniques we do to protect your asset. And then to the male, you'll say, this is how we're going to make you wealthy. And you show them the forecasting money. So it might be something to do with the personality and protecting the risk, I suppose.
Yeah, I think so. And they say, like teenager or, young 20 males that the biggest risk takers. So I think it's just something I think, women are a bit more protective, bit more kind of risk adverse.
I think it's changing now though. Like when we
definitely.
when we advertise a job, it's starting to get more like getting closer to 50-50 female applicants, where 5 years ago when I started, it was 1 in 20 would kind of thing. That's what sparked the interest with you, was just like, this person with 10 properties interested in commercial. Like, I've never met this person before.
Not many.
But
no, definitely, there's more, and we're getting more clients at Palise now, which is great, of women who are wanting to kind of have that.
Which aren't pushed by a male partner as well. It's just single women ready to kind of go, which is really nice.
So, no, it's good. And hopefully, we can inspire some more people to, especially women, to kind of look out and realize that they can do this and kind of hopefully get some financial freedom in the future. And which is a good thing. Like, there's good female buyers agents out there now as well. So the industry's changing. So, all right. So we've
What do we got? 4 now? 4 properties?
Yeah. Yep. So picked up, the 4th one was in Albury-Wodonga.
Yep. Okay, good spot.
So went down there, ended up picking up a 6-bed, 3-bath house. So again, I
6-bed.
I decided to go back down my like student accommodation route because it didn't really.
Was it already a student accommodation? Or was it just
so
a big
it was,
house? Yep, okay.
Yeah, so it was set up that way, and doing the sums, it was going to be maybe $700 or so a week. It was bought it for $315.
Yep.
So I was like, this looks great.
Yeah.
It was old though, so needed a bit of reno. So in came the family reno team. They
all came down.
So my brother came down, mum and dad.
Oh, cool.
We did all the painting, got new flooring. The carpets were, think like RSL, like bus and trains that like patterned. Yeah, it was that. It was horrid.
I imagine they put that intentionally because the whole point of that RSL carpet is you don't see stains.
You don't see stains. Oh, it was terrible. So yeah, I think when I bought it, there was 3 or 4 tenants and 2 beds were empty.
Yep. Okay.
So I did about a year with them. And then flicked it off because there was a lot of vacancy turnover. So I pretty much always had nearly 1 to 2 bedrooms empty.
Was your property manager managing this? They were just charging a premium because it was a bit harder to do?
And there was just a lot more fees in terms of like lease prep fees and things because there was multiple tenants moving in and out. And then, electricity started to add up.
Yeah.
You have the internet, water. When you've got 6 bathrooms, 6 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms.
When they're also not paying electricity, it's very easy to leave heaters on all day, every day.
So I did get solar.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Even
so that was even
really
back
cool.
then. Got solar to try and help bring it down. And then it just, it started to get too hard. Like I was having to actively manage the property manager who was doing it because there was just always something. Someone moving in, someone moving out, maintenance, something. And I was like, this is just too hard. So went back and said, what can I get if this is just rented out as a house? So it dropped from, in the 700s to $390 was the first rent. So still bought it for $315. So not terrible, but it obviously was a big drop down.
Did you imagine having a 6-bedroom house, like the type of family that needs that would be quite sticky tenants because there's not a lot of choice. So once you've got them, you've got them.
Yeah, which we did. The tenants that moved in ended up being there for 6, 7 years.
They don't have a choice.
I think they had 4 kids.
Where else are they going to get a 6-bedroom house?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then funnily enough, so they ended up leaving and then we got like the Red Cross rented it.
Oh, really?
Because they were doing like putting people into different bedrooms, like housing them for different things. So I ended up having Red Cross as my tenant.
Kind of like a boarding house-ish
kind of. And that was great because they always paid rent on time. They basically handled their own maintenance and stuff. So
how did you come across them? Was that the property manager?
Yeah, property manager. They had they had another one with Red Cross and basically when it came up that the tenants were leaving, they sort of reached out, which is just the connection thing.
I would say because was a regional town.
Yeah, they
talks
sort
to
of
each
know.
other, whereas if you buy a CBD or City One, like it's a random 22-year-old person who's just kind of turning over tenants. So that was a good outcome.
Yeah, really good. And we picked that up for a good bargain. So the owner before me bought it for $347. I think it was about 4 years before, and then I picked it up for $315. So they actually lost money.
Another good point is property's not guaranteed to make money. You buy a wrong market, wrong time, and you have to do a fire sale, you can lose as well.
Yeah, so still got that one. And that was my first in a trust borrowing, which was not that difficult. Like it was setting up the trust.
It doesn't change anything. You're still filling out paperwork from a bank and it's just instead of your name, it's a trust name.
Yeah. So that was, kind of the start of the first 4. And then I kind of sat for a bit.
Nice little diversified portfolio as well across Australia.
And back then it was we started with interest only on everything.
Yeah. That was the flavour of the investing thing at the time.
Well, and I was getting positive cash flow from them. Interest rates kept coming down and it was great. And then I guess that's around 2016, 2017, when I just was teaching full time. I actually decided to leave teaching and decided to pursue real estate full time. So I started with a real estate company in Sydney in sales as a sales associate and did that for nearly a year. Was liking it, although I found the hardest thing for me was that we were selling people's personal homes, like for first home buyers and things, compared to investment.
Yeah, you love the investment side.
I do. I found it hard when I was showing, you know, like a $1.3 million house that was sort of run down and someone's like, this is my forever home. Gosh, I love this. Like I found it a bit tricky to kind of sell them this rundown house as their dream. Yeah. Because I'm looking at it from a investment mindset, and I was like, this is terrible.
And you're like, there's way better options.
There is.
Yeah.
And
Have
I was
you heard
like,
of investing?
yeah, that's so I found that part a little tricky, but I really enjoyed being, I guess, in the industry. In the industry, learned a lot from the people around me, learned a lot
Were you similar to me where like you didn't hate the teaching, it was just you loved property and you were like, let's give this my true love an actual crack.
Yeah. So I really like teaching. I think I learned a lot from it, how to be organised, prepared. I definitely, if you see my cupboards and pantry, everything's labelled and neat.
I've seen our systems and processes in place, a lot that you've implemented.
So look, really thankful I did teaching, but I guess I knew it wasn't my passion. I liked it, but I didn't love it. And then so I knew I really liked property from the investing side. So I was like, I'm going to jump in to real estate. Went into the sales, enjoyed it, but again was like, oh, it's not quite right. And then I guess my world sort of got bit flipped upside down. So my current husband, or boyfriend at the time. current husband.
Sorry, mate. Well, in 2 years' time, we'll have the current husband, number 2.
No, forever husband.
This 32-year-old has had 10 husbands in 12 years.
I definitely hope not. So he had a job opportunity to move to Texas in the US. Yeah. So he was basically like, hey, you want to come with me? We're moving to the other side of the world. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
It's a fun adventure.
Yeah. So off we went, moved over to Texas for 3 years. We ended up being there, working in the window furnishings industry. And had an excellent time, learned a lot.
That stuff's just fun for an adventure as well.
It was, yeah.
Did you know it was going to be a few years at the time, or was it we're just going
Originally it was one.
And what was it? Okay, so it was supposed to be a fun little working remote. Yeah.
And then I guess we got towards the end of one and we got asked like, do you want to stay? And then it was, if you're staying, you got to sign on for 2. So we were like, let's do it.
Same as me. So we went to the UK and I was like, I'm just going to travel Europe for a year. Then 2.5 years later, you're still there.
So that was 2018, 19 and 2020. So we were there during COVID in America. So that was interesting. And then during that time,
Side question, were you looking at property there? Or were you still just keeping an eye on Australia as the main focus?
No, we weren't. We did look into it a little. Like I had heard a couple of people doing it, but we just didn't, I guess, like America enough. It was nice to live there, but I didn't want to live there full time. And I just felt like
it's too
hard to manage cross country.
Who went over there and then they started buying in like Ohio and you could buy houses for $30,000.
Oh, they're very cheap. Yeah.
So I was just wondering about, okay, but so you still had your finger on the pulse in Australia then?
Yeah, we did. And my husband was building a house during that time. So we
Australia?
Yeah, in Australia, up in Brisbane. Yep. House and land package.
For you guys to move into or an investment?
So originally it was for us to move into. Okay. So we had like designed it as our, not forever home, but sort of forever home. Had done all the tiles and like wall colours and stuff. And then, pretty much, so we were going to be moving to Queensland and then pretty much got told, no, we're moving to America. So we kind of were like, okay, well then let's just put cookie cutter. We just went with like one of those investment people and they just gave us a stock standard investment property, which was actually still like, it was nice. We ended up moving back and living in it. And
is that for first time owners grant?
No, we didn't actually get that. Because we were married and because by the time so we didn't. But so we were over in America, working a lot, saving a lot. It obviously helped when we could bring money back and there was like 30% with the exchange rate.
Oh, yeah, true.
So got to bring a lot back, which was epic. Didn't get to buy anything during the 3 years. Obviously we were building something, but chatted with the broker and it was just shaving of the income.
I was going to ask that because when he's working over there, if to get finance for that house and land package, he's going to have international income, shave
so they shaved, I think like 20% and then they'd shave the rent and everything.
Yeah, but so if he's earning more money, then we'd
been able to figure out the build. But when we were looking, like there was just no way we could do an investment property. It was just too hard. So we were like, you know what, let's just enjoy these years overseas, have a good time. Have some experiences, save a lot and come back and then we work out what we're doing. So moved back just end of 2020. So right as COVID was sort of in Australia doing its thing. Moved into our investment property in Brisbane. So there had been tenants in there for just about a year and then we moved back and moved into it. Ended up being there for 3 years. 3 years. We moved out 2024. And it was fine. And it was quite good actually because we realised from living there that there's no way that would have been our forever home. So we're kind of glad we didn't spend the extra money to build what we were wanting to build and just went with the investment. Yeah.
With your portfolio that you're building, like nowhere's going to be a forever home until you like get to probably where you are now. Then you can start being like, I know I've got the budget to get a forever home, but you don't know at the time, like your line in the sand's always where you think
moves,
it moves. Especially for investors, because the larger portfolio you get, if your portfolio doubles and you've got a large portfolio, your forever home is another line in the sand away. So
so then we came back.
What did you do for work when you came back? Was it still back into the real estate game or?
So when I got back, I was like, I'm not sure what I want to do. I actually went into like office sales and administration for a bull bar company for vehicles. That's right. I remember
you told me that when you first
So it happened that it was in basically the same suburb. It was like 5 minutes away and around the corner from my husband's work. So we could just carpool and it was easy. So it was in that. And we basically got back and we're like, okay, we need to get back into purchasing. Like we came back with quite good savings. So we were like, we've got deposits ready to go. But we were like, no, we need a bit more of a strategy and a plan. And also now we had dual incomes. So we were like, the serviceability just, increases a lot. Like from a single compared to a double, it's crazy.
I also think that's a big driver of why the property market's doubled again, because 20 years ago it was one income households and then the market grew, then it became two income households because everyone's using daycare and all that stuff, and it's doubled again because there's two incomes. So you've probably been through that period.
Definitely.
Okay.
And so then we got a referral to a new broker. I guess I had just not really been following up with my broker that much since we'd gone away. And that's my current broker. Shout out to Nick. He's excellent. And so we kind of worked with him on a strategy and plan. And then we got a new accountant as well.
So, one thing to point out, Nick, who we know quite well, he's a successful investor himself as well. So he gets it.
And he dabbled into commercial as well. So that's why we really liked him.
Through Palise property.
And so we kind of starting to get the team together that was good, that we needed. So between the accountant and the mortgage broker, we kind of came up with the strategy of what we were doing. And honestly, that took us nearly a year and a half to actually like figure out what we wanted to do, get everything in place and decide how we were going to pull triggers.
I imagine because servicing's increased a little bit, but you knew if you bought more properties, you were just going to hit the glass ceiling further down the line. So it's like, how do we push that line as far back as we can?
And I mean, I started a new job, so we had to wait anyway for pay slips and things like that. And so there was a couple of things at play. And then we sort of hit the ground running. So we kind of purchased number, it would have been, well, I guess PPOR was number 5. So then we pulled, 6, 7, 8 kind of went within the same year.
That's a big stressful year. Yeah.
And all of those, we just sort of went big regional centres, Queensland, like Toowoomba, Rocky. So, and all of them we still got at the moment. Rents have gone through the roof, which has been very helpful.
Especially the last 3 years, awesome,
And during that time, I should say because mine originally were interest only, and then when rates went down to as low as they were, we actually flicked some of mine as part of our strategy over to principal and interest. because they were so low, we were like...
There was not much disparity, the same thing, because it was like $50 a week difference.
Yeah, it was not much.
Why don't I ship this off and get my own equity guaranteed? Yeah.
Yeah, and we had some offset accounts. So we were like, this is part of the strategy. Yeah. So yeah, we're able to pay down a bit off some of them. Pulled the trigger on 6, 7, 8, and then kind of were like, all right, I think we're happy with that. Yep. And then chatting with mortgage broker, he was like, I think you guys need to start looking at commercial now. Yeah. Like you're at that point.
Was that the start of the commercial discovery, or were you already kind of aware?
I had been listening. I had actually done, funnily enough, I was stalking on Real Commercial and just like having a look. And there was one I found. It was a hairdresser out towards, I think it was like Ipswich way. And I was looking at it and I was like, yeah, this actually looks too bad. Doing a bit of research. It popped up on your purchases a couple of months later.
Oh, the little freestanding one. Yeah, that's a good little buy. I think the rents have gone up like 40% in the last.
And I was like, I saw it and I was like, so they bought that? And I'm like, I should have trusted my gut and gone with it. But
that was actually, for the price, that was ridiculous.
Really good.
Again, the client at the time still had the same fears. It was trying to negotiate with him. I'm like, you're missing the point. It's a freestanding building in Ipswich with a good tenant, and the tenant's still there.
I know, but I didn't know anything about DD back then. So it would have been, who knows? So we kind of then were like, we're doing commercial. That was probably 2023. We made that decision. Early 2023. I think you and I started working together in, it would have been early 2023. So we had that phone call and basically said, look, I'm looking into commercial. What do I do? What do you guys do?
I'm really curious to go back onto my CRM and see what notes I wrote about you back then.
Look, I did have a look. I was a warm lead.
Oh, were you? Warm lead.
Because I said I wasn't quite ready. And then we signed up. So I actually started working for you in the background, but then signed up with Palise as a client, which was really great, and something I probably am super thankful for, that I actually wasn't in a way working with Palise when I did my first one. Because I feel like I went through the process as a client. So I didn't know the acquisitions team. I didn't know the DD team. So I actually got the full service and could see how the business functions. What gets presented, how it comes across. So I think that has now helped me.
And even like you've improved some of our systems, because you're like, when I was a client,
I didn't like this. This
confused me. I didn't like this. And so we've actually improved because of my experience. One of the things I liked when you helped me on the course was, because you knew residential inside and out, and you knew sort of enough in commercial, but anytime we had a module finished, you would nitpick everything, like, where did this piece of information come from? How did you get this? Show me how you got this. So things that I sort of knew, but I assumed everyone knew, they didn't. So you actually made the course now for beginners and advanced, because you've asked all the questions. And then coming into Palise Property, you know every aspect of commercial inside because you spent a year working on a course with me, like going over everything.
Yeah, which was great, because I could definitely use some of that. But again, it was still new to me, even though I had done, the course and knew all that. It's still a whole new experience, and I relied a lot on the team.
Even for the course, I remember you'd start asking some questions. I'm like, I'm not really sure. I'll put you in touch with the DD team, and then you'd interview the DD team, being like, where did you get this piece of information from?
The first purchase commercial was probably mid 2023. I think we settled August 2023. So originally all the hype was around industrial, as you probably know. Everyone wanted industrial. So we had, said industrial. We'd seen a couple and they weren't kind of quite what we were looking for. And then it was Anita in the team who was like, hey, I've actually got this retail. What do you think? So he sent it over and we kind of had a discussion, my husband and I, and we're like, actually, you know what? This is pretty good. So
is it safe to say, because I know your portfolio, you're somewhat of a yield chaser. You want commercial to definitely wash its own face, and it's not so much about the capital growth. We still want capital growth, but you've got the big resi portfolio as the engine, the horse for it. But I remember you were fairly strict on your yields.
Yes. Yeah, we were definitely in commercial for the cash flow. And I think we also thought, growth across 8 properties would be able to get us, the next one. So we kind of wanted that cash flow, and we kind of had an idea, rates had started coming back up then.
Yep.
So we were like, the positive cash flow from the resi sort of going down. It's, most of them are a bit more neutral now. We need some cash.
So was the purpose of that for servicing as well, just to make sure you're all good for servicing? Again, not part of a strategy and let's get a 200K passive income. It's let's just keep buying property.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. And so the one Anita presented us was a retail shop on the Sunshine Coast, stone's throw to the beach. You can literally see the beach from the front doors. Excellent location, which is what we really liked about it. Right next to a bottle shop. So we're like, there's always people there. So it was actually a tobacconist was the tenant.
Which we've spoken about.
And I remember Anita asked me like, how do you feel basically about a tobacconist? And I was like, I don't have qualms. People choose to do what they want to do. That's them. So I was like, as long as they pay the rent, doesn't bother me. So went with that. During the DD, Jeff obviously does some great digging. Jeff
is my brother, everyone who works in the DD team. He's very, how do I say this has a huge attention to detail. Yeah. He finds everything to the point the team are like, how did you even find that? He's like,
goes down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, I did a credit history check on the tenant and found a news article from 2002 and you're just like, where did this come from?
Yeah. So he had found that the tenant had some discretions with the police in terms of doing something illegal in the tobacconist shop. So selling
I think
things.
He found this from Google, going down the rabbit hole and Google to find, so it's not even the documents that they gave us. He just went down. No, I think he saw the name. He saw the name of the owner and was like, I'm going to investigate this owner's name.
And then found a photo and was like, hey, that photo matches. So there was no addresses or anything. He just, such a
creep, isn't it?
But that's what we want in the DD team. That's what you need to be. And then so I guess we got asked, do you still want to keep going? And it's one of those things like, the
location was great. So
that's probably what sold us was the location. We were like, if they leave, the location's great. We're going to get somebody else. Yeah. And I think that's probably the thing I've learned now that would be one of my takeaways for people in commercial is you can change the tenant, you can't change the location. So
you had that long-term mindset from the beginning, which is really hard, which is funny because clients come to me now and they're like, I don't like tenant. I'm like, who cares? And they're like, what do you mean who cares? Because I look like you, like location's everything.
Yeah.
Even the best tenant will move on. Retail, arguably sometimes the tenant's important in regards to the long lease, you might be paying a premium for that. The tobacconist, not so much, but like an industrial, the better the tenant, the quicker they leave. So you're better off just looking and going into the location. But you're spot on that because it's literally at the beach.
Yeah.
You will always have cafe, convenience store, hairdresser, souvenir shop. Like you're going to be fine.
Yes. So, and we're opposite a caravan park. Yeah. So there's lots of people there all the time. We actually went and had lunch next to this cafe next door. So kind of stalked it for a little bit because we were living in Brizzy at the time. So we were like, it's not too far. We'll go and check it out. And seemed good, like good foot traffic, quite a lot of people. We were like, okay, this is good. So put an offer in, which Anita helped and came out at 6.8% yield. So back then, I think we did get in right before quite a bit of tightening happened with yields.
Which is perfect.
Yeah, we were a bit early, which was great.
I think back then, retail still had a sour taste in most people's mouth because of COVID.
Straight after
Everyone
COVID.
had the fear.
Yeah.
And again, we always like, no, let's focus on big
we were the same. We had straight away said, no, we want industrial. And then we had a good chat with the team and we're like, actually, no. So
one of the points I want to kind of point out, when you think of it this way, like if you go a 5% yielding warehouse in Brisbane, let's say Sunshine Coast, because they're about 5% now. Like Sunshine Coast is really, really tight vacancies, really tight yields. And you can get, let's say, a 6.5% net yield on a retail. That 1.5% over 5 is actually a huge percentage. It's like, I can't remember, my math's terrible, 22% or whatever it is, 24%, whatever. So it's almost like a quarter increase. So theoretically, you could buy that property, have it for 3-4 years. It can sit there for another year before you're in a worse position than the industrial. So like when you look at it that way, you go, okay, yes, I need a bigger buffer, but you can weather more storms as well.
And that's kind of what we did like the yield. That was definitely attractive, and the location. And we were like, if the tenant's there, it's not. They were on a 5-year lease, a new 5-year lease. So we were like, well, that's great. Yeah. And they actually have 2 5-year options as well. So we're like, they're potentially there till 2037 or something. So we're like, that could be epic. We've had a couple of issues, which I'll talk about in a second. But yeah, so that was our first commercial, pulled the trigger. We're pretty happy with it. And kind of ticked away for a couple of months. And then we got a letter from our property manager to say that the tenant was wanting to sell the business. And we were like, okay, so what does this look like? Because it was something, obviously brand new to us. So they explained that we would get a solicitor on our behalf who basically would get paid from the tenant and act on our behalf to get the information about the new business owner, and we could just make a decision if we were happy with them. So we went through that process. It was relatively easy. It took a couple of months because they were just slow in getting documents and things.
It's normally lawyers that are like that as well.
So the new business owner, like we got asset liability and bit of details about them, and we were like, no, we're fine with that. So they did a change. Business got sold out and didn't cost us a thing, even though we had a solicitor on our side doing,
the stuff.
So that was an interesting just
another tobacconist.
So took over.
So funnily enough, one of the tobacconists I owned, same thing. I actually had 2, but I just kicked one out, which we can explain as well. But same thing. They seem to change hands every few years. But I've also had it just recently I've got a fish and chip shop as well. They've just sold the business to another owner. So I had to do the same process. It seems stressful, but it's actually a good outcome sometimes because you're in a fresh new business who still cares about it. Whereas when it's a rundown 10-year-old fish and chip shop, the owners don't care anymore. No. But the new owner comes in and wants to make improvements.
And do well.
So okay, so got through that period. What else?
So got through that, and then it would have been maybe 6 months ago now. It was kind of end of 2024. We got a letter or a phone call, actually. I got a phone call from the strata manager to say that there was an issue with insurance. So we were like, what does this look like? So basically, long story short, is the insurance for the whole strata was unable to be renewed because of the tobacconist. They didn't like the fact there was a tobacconist, high risk, as we know. I feel like you've talked about this.
And also we've listened to the other podcast with my partner, Lisa, and we talk about a whole insurance podcast episode on it.
So basically the strata said, look, your options are going to be they either need to leave or change what they're doing, change use. So we put it to the tenant, where basically my property manager did, and said, look, there's not much you can do. And this is where having a net lease was probably a saving grace, because the insurance came back originally, and so the building is about 110K a year for all the strata.
Because they have to cover the insurance.
It went up to over 400. So they were like, and part of their bylaws or whatever it was could appoint the additional excess to a certain lot. So basically the strata manager said like, hey, look, we could potentially be giving you 300K a year of insurance payment. And I was like, oh God. However, we have a net lease where the tenant pays the insurance.
Okay. So it could have been a different story if they were on a gross lease.
If it was a gross lease, potentially,
like, no, I've signed a contract.
Not our problem.
You can do it.
So the property manager basically said to them, look, insurance is going to be 300K. I doubt you're going to pay that when you're paying, like 50 grand a year. That like
this was right on the cusp when all the issues with tobacconists actually started. Because like prior to that, actually, it sounds bad, but I've probably purchased 20 tobacconists over the last 5 years. There's quite a lot, but now we're obviously mindful of this issue.
And so we basically said, look, you either need to change or leave. So we I felt a bit bad. I know it's like commercial's supposed to be numbers, but I did feel bad because obviously the owner had it's a new business too. Like she'd just bought the business and this was maybe 3-4 months later. So I was like, I kind of felt bad that this was happening.
You also can't pay a few $100,000.
Exactly. That wasn't going to work. So ended up working with them they decided to change to be a convenience store, which was fine. So we actually help because you had to get new signage, and we're on a bit of a deadline with the strata. We're breathing down our neck like, hey, the insurance is, renewal's coming up. It needs to be done. All the signage needs to be done. You need to remove all your products. So we had actually offered originally, I said to the property manager, look, I'm happy to give them a month's free rent if that's going to help, because they have to get signage changed, and also just to help get them over the line if that's what it, because it's going to be much cheaper for me for them to stay and change to a convenience than if they leave and I have to get a new tenant, advertise and all of that. It would have been, I would have lost more money. So we just said, offer it if they need it. They didn't end up needing it, so we didn't end up having to pay it. But we did pay. We had to get a solicitor, so the same solicitor that worked for us before. But this time we had to pay. So it was about $4,500 in the end
that's all right.
for us to do basically all the back and forward, the changes, things like that. And so that's about a month's rent anyway. So it all sort of worked out. But they've got...
It is... Property is not smooth. When people come and we find, this working in our team, we find hiccups all the time. You'll have horror stories about your resi, commercial. You have it, but the more properties you own, you just kind of cop it on the chin and think bigger picture. You do get these things. I've owned 2 tobacconists. I get it.
And in a way it was like, I'm not glad it happened, but I'm also feel like I'm sort of glad because I got to learn. And then I was like, okay, how does this get handled? This is what we're, giving our clients all the time. It's good for stuff in a way, us to understand, what happens with this. How does this get? So I feel like I'm,
You're educated now with it.
More educated about it. So we got all brand new signage with the convenience store. Looks great. They're happy now.
Good tenant now. And for that location, across from a caravan
convenience
park,
store is amazing.
Next to a bottle shop. Like when people are having a barbecue or whatever, it's go get the alcohol, go get the chips, and then go.
Well, funnily enough, in that little strip, there's actually not like a convenience type there's like a cafe takeaway. There's like a Thai bottle shop.
Hopefully they actually earn more money from being a convenience store than a tobacconist.
Hopefully.
So
that was, and since then it's been going well. And the other good thing that we also had that I forgot to mention was, so it was a 6.8 yield when Anita presented it. And by the time we actually settled, we got a 3% rental increase the month after we settled. So it went up to 7, just over 7, basically at settlement. So it was epic, the cash flow. So obviously, I've had a couple of bumps, but now hopefully it'll be smooth sailing.
That market's tightened as well. So I imagine now, probably 6% cap rate for retail there? Probably, maybe
I
a little bit
reached
less,
out a couple of months ago to a selling agent, and he said it was 625 back then. Potentially it's even tightened more since then.
All right, so we got commercial number 1.
So that was commercial number 1. Yes, that was property number 8 at the time. 9. That was property number 9 at the time.
So number 9.
Yes.
Almost there.
So then we decided actually with a little bit again going back with the mortgage broker and accountant, and realised that us living in our house up in Brizzy, that we were kind of losing a lot of serviceability because of that, because it's deemed as a liability, even though the house itself, was worth quite a bit. It was actually all liability, so it wasn't helping us. And my husband and I kind of were like, well, you know what? This is not our forever home. We're not tied to it. We were super lucky in terms of, whilst it was a house and land package, which I'm not a fan of after Townsville, we actually did really well on this one because we bought in a place that was basically landlocked. So they only released a really small section. So it was up on
no oversupply.
So just north of Brizzy, basically we were a couple of 100 meters to the water, so you couldn't go anywhere. So it almost doubled in the 4 years we had it. So we decided to sell, Feb 2024 and go back to rent vesting. Kind of had a discussion and
that's a big move. And weirdly enough, most of our clients, we actually have that as well. They've got like this house they live in with lots of equity, and they're just like, this isn't making me happy anymore because I'm just stuck in this house and I'm relying on income. And we actually are getting clients that are doing the same thing, being like, we've done all right. Let's sell. Let's go back to rent vesting and progress and buying commercial typically.
And it was something we talked about a bit because a lot of people want that forever home. That's
scary as well at that point in time. And I think were you pregnant at that point as well? Or was you
yes.
Yeah, that's right. So you knew there was an impending.
And funnily enough, it's like the people who are like, oh, you know, you're supposed to start nesting and want to be in the and I was like, let's just sell.
You weren't a typical 30-year-old.
No. So yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of people, when you're younger, it's, you know, get out of finish school, get a job, or go to uni, get a job, buy your house, pay it down over 30 years, and that's what you do. And I think that's always been like instilled in a lot of people. You have to buy, you know, you have to live in a house you own. Yeah. But that's not like
it does. Yeah. The thing is, as long as if you're selling the house that you live in, as long as you're putting the money to another good asset, you're not going to be in a worse position. And that's the fear. I get if you sell your house and go on a holiday. Terrible idea. Which you obviously didn't. You've obviously sold that. Rent vested again? So when you moved back down?
Yeah, so we wanted to be a bit closer to family as well. So we were pregnant with our first child and decided we needed to come back towards this way. So we're in Foster, Tonkari area.
Spot.
Yeah. And so we pocketed quite a bit from our sale. Like, as I mentioned, it had nearly doubled. So we were like, yep, okay, we're ready to go into commercial number 2. And at that time I was working with Palise. So told the acquisitions team, you know, this is what I wanted. We had said we wanted industrial this time because we'd done a retail. Because we had... I guess because we have so many resis and things behind us and we'd already had a commercial, I was definitely like, we're happy to take some risk. We're happy to go a bit more regional. I wouldn't recommend that for people starting out who don't have some other levers they can pull or assets to protect them sort of thing.
That's part of our strategy call is that work out where that. And for anyone besides people with large portfolios like you, that is not the smart. And you've heard me say it.
Look, I definitely tell people the same.
On all my podcasts, I'm like, go buy a boring property. A boring property for number 1. Yeah. Okay.
So number 2, we were like, look, we'll take a bit more risk. So we went regional New South Wales. Yeah. We ended up getting a 7.4% yield.
I hate that you're saying this because I'm going to get 1,000 inquiries from this podcast.
Also,
you know they're coming to people like, can I get one like Belinda?
I know. But
yes, you can if you've got 10 properties, guys.
The negative was they were on shortly. They're only doing 2-year leases. So at that sort of size and price point, we would expect them longer leases, but it was just short 2-year leases. There was, I guess, maybe an inkling they would leave. They were a national tenant, but there was sort of a little bit of an idea. And we were like, look, we're still willing to take that risk. Good location, corner, dual access.
You could handle the slightly longer vacancy period because you had the portfolio to back it up, a good job, et cetera, et cetera.
And the tenant's got 18 months left, so we're already planning because they have just told us they're leaving. So we're like, but they've given us 18 months notice. So we got plenty of notice. And this is what I guess we should, you know, tell people who want to go regional with high yields. Vacancies are, you know, a lot longer. So whilst they're lucky that they gave us a lot of notice, they only had to give us, I think, minimum
6 months.
6. I think it was 6. So it could have been a lot worse, but we obviously know. So we'll start advertising and hopefully get someone else.
Which is good because it means if it takes 18 months to find someone, you actually have no vacancy.
Yeah.
So, and if it also takes 6 months after they leave, it's only 6 months. Even though you've looked for 2 years, it's a 2-year vacancy.
And we're obviously aware of it now, so we can, you know, save up some of that cash flow that's coming in, and instead of paying down the loan, just kind of hold it as a buffer and increase our buffer there.
And you're a sophisticated investor, like you know what you're doing.
I would hope so.
You've also now got the benefit of working for our company with like 2,000 deals and contacts that you can hopefully piece it all together. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so that was number 2 commercial, which would have been technically property 10, but because we sold, it's gone back to 9. And then the last one we just did about 2 months ago. So we decided to move into the self-managed super fund space because we're starting to get I guess, tapped out in a way with just deposits and things. Commercial obviously needs bigger deposits. And then with high interest rates, it's been harder to pull equity. So we just sort of were like, no, let's have a look at another lever that we had discussed with our strategy with the team. So yeah, we started a self-managed super fund and we're able to get a orthodontist over in
medical
Perth.
Tenant. Perfect.
Yeah, medical tenant. So they're actually in a residential area. So it's basically a house on a big corner lot as well. Lots of car parking. So they're on a brand new 5-year lease as well. And I think that one was just under 6%.
Which is great considering you've got a house where if you bought that as a residential, it'd be a 2% net.
Yeah. And good zoning. So it's got a lot of future value add plays. So we've got the ability to either split it into resi, potentially 6 to 8 blocks. We could build up. I actually think it's zoned for units potentially.
Sell it to the orthodontist at a premium as well.
Or even we had a look at potentially changing it to a childcare because it's already got the parking and size and things. So
you're what we call an active investor who shows a lot of interest. I'm the opposite. I'm passive. I want to buy and forget about it.
Look, I think it's good to have both. I'm happy to have a combination. That one we just were like, we could see quite a bit of potential with a couple of things.
But you love it. You love property. You love I see you every day. You love talking this and doing this stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah. So that rounded out, that was number 10. Yeah. And that kind of rounds out the portfolio.
What's the plans now? Is it just keep accumulating, sit tight for a bit? Multiple kids, you don't have to answer. I know what the answer is off it. But is it still accumulation or has it shifted now to a portfolio size or passive income or just let's just keep chipping away?
Look, it's definitely shifted to passive income now over quantity, which is what it was when I started. Now, I don't really care how many. It's more, I would rather quality over quantity. We've just had a chat. We're looking at selling our first residential down.
That's I was going to bring that up there, how you now might start moving
so
across.
We've probably Townsville, the first one, because that's had
extreme growth in
quite a lot of growth in the last couple of years. Obviously, I've had that one the longest, so I've actually been I paid down a bit of the loan, and I had a really good offset account on that one. So I've done quite well. So we'd be able to pull, a couple hundred out of that and be able to go into a new commercial.
So is that general plan, just kind of chip away a few of the residentials and then maybe get a couple more commercials?
Honestly, it's quite similar to what you did. Start to sell them down and it's maybe 1 for 1, even sometimes maybe sell 2 or 3 resis and do similar to you and kind of combine it and then turn it into one, maybe multi-tenanted.
Something a bit bigger or a bit easier to manage.
Yeah, and we're sort of starting the conversation about a forever home, PPOR going back again. Rent vesting's fine, but I think if we're looking to have a second kid and start a family, you kind of I'm also starting to look at school catchments and things.
You've also got the luxury of you can do nothing now and the next 20 years is going to be a very comfortable life for you, which is a very privileged thing. And similar to me, you've worked bloody hard for it. You've been doing it since you were 20 years old in property. So no, it's really
I'm not leaving you yet.
Please don't. Actually, there's a point. Any Palise property clients, Belinda looks after all our settlements. So when you get on the phone to Belinda, you'll know a bit more about her and you can ask her for some advice.
Yeah, love talking to the clients.
Yeah, you definitely do.
Seeing their properties, because I used to be in acquisition, so I'd see the properties. Whereas now when they come under, that's already kind of the deal's done. But I always pull up the client's property before I speak to them and have a look and a bit of a stalk. And I'm like, there's some really good deals. I'm like, I want this.
I was going to ask you what's the best and the worst thing about working with Palise property, but I think you sort of just said the best one is you get to see all these cool deals.
Look, I would actually say best would be talking to clients. I like talking to clients. Because I find I get excited when they get excited about their journey and their their plans and a lot of the time we have clients doing their first commercial and it's just so exciting to hear.
As well.
But it's they're excited and scared at the same time. So, and I think because I've been a client before I worked, I think that's just invaluable to me because I'm I've been in your shoes. I know exactly what you're thinking. And then I would say, honestly, the worst is seeing really good deals and being I want that.
At least you didn't say your boss.
Definitely not you.
No. It's really inspiring what you've done. And thanks for being so transparent today and even coming on and chatting on your first podcast episode.
Yeah, no, appreciate it.
All right. So before we wrap it up, do you want to maybe give some advice or key tips for the listeners from what you've experienced either from your own journey, Palise properties or management of the deals?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's probably my motto that I kind of have is I kind of think about it turning on a tap. is the way I think about it.
Yeah.
So TAP stands for T for team.
Yeah.
So you kind of need to start with a team. And I learned that by going through a couple of brokers and accountants. So you need to get them together first. Like you need a good mortgage broker. You need a good accountant. Please reach out to us if you need any of these. We have lots of really good contacts.
Yeah.
And so they would be first, like getting them in place, I think is the most important.
Yeah. So build the foundation team,
Yeah, so that would be the T. And then A would be action. So you actually need to do stuff. You need to get your pay slips together. You need to get your bank statements together. You need to figure out your strategy, your plan, like do the work, do the education, listen to podcasts.
It's not the fun part as well.
No,
collecting all the documents is horrible. Like it's the worst thing. Finance, getting bank documents, that's horrible as well. Even more so when you got 10 properties.
Yes. Like you have to act. Otherwise no one's going to do it for you. So you need to do that. Like obviously you can get a buyer's agent, but you still actually need to do stuff yourself. Like
we always get it at work. Like when people say, I'll do it after tax time, I'll do it after this thing, you're like, that's going to be 6 months down the track. No one does their tax on July. Like they do it 4 months after July.
Yeah.
Like, so just now is the time.
Yes, now is the time. And funnily enough, P is patience, actually. So I do remember my first when I signed up for the first commercial and I was like so ready to go. I was so excited and I was like, come on, where are the deals? And like first day I was like, where are the deals? And then
we get the clients are like, can you send me a list of all the deals you've got? And you're like, I don't think you understand how hard it is to find a commercial property.
Like quality of stock can take weeks.
We've got 5 acquisition staff working full time and we can maximum find 20 good deals a month, maximum.
And that's something I think being the client for Palise, that's something I learnt very quickly through there. I'm like, no, you have to be patient. And if you rush it or if you're doing it yourself without a buyer's agent, be patient, do the research, make sure you're actually waiting for the deal, because if you make a mistake or jump into the wrong thing, like Townsville for me, when I first bought it, yes, I was able to luckily pull out some equity to start. It then didn't move for 9-10 years. It actually went backwards because it flooded. You can't
undo it without it costing you stamp duty, legals, agent costs, the property you replace it with, another stamp duty. It's like a 10% swing to change your property.
Yeah, I would say, be patient, actually wait sometimes. And obviously with Palise, if something comes that's good, jump on it. Don't be patient and think we're going to keep sending you lots, but they're good. But if you're doing it yourself, definitely be patient. And if you are with Palise, then I would say trust us, but sometimes it does take us a while to find you the right one because we're looking for quality stuff. We're not just giving you crap.
It's funny, we did an episode with Adrian, who's one of our Perth acquisition guys, a few weeks ago, and he actually said that he's like, the clients that are just patient and trust in the process always end up with the best outcome.
Yeah, they do.
The ones that are nitty gritty of like, must be 6.2%, that's the harder ones to, because you turn away all these good deals.
Yeah. I mean, the self-managed super fund property, the Perth one, we sent that to clients and they said no, and I ended up
getting it. That's why you jumped on it. So, okay. So TAP.
Yeah. So team, act, patience. Yeah. So it's like turning on the tap for
I think that's a perfect way to end. Thank you so much, Belinda.
Thank you for having me.
And I genuinely love working with you. Keep doing what you're doing. You smash it.
Thank you. Awesome. You're a very awesome boss.
Thank you. You have to say that. Contractually, you have to say that. All right. Thanks, guys. It's been another episode of Commercial Property Investing Explained. Have a good one.